For some people, going to bed is heaven. It's that moment of the day when they don't have to worry about food for another minute and they're safe. For other people, it's filled with fear because for the last however long, years, if not decades, they've been waking up oftentimes 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and hitting the snacks hard, if not full blowout binges. If you are in the latter, if you're somebody who struggles with 3 a.m. eating, whether it's once in a while or regularly, we are going to spend live at lunch today sorting out what could possibly be driving that. And then, even better than that, I'm going to help you with some ideas on how to stop. So let's dive in. If you are new here, my name's Coach Helen. Well, my name's Helen. I'm a coach, and I specialize in helping people identify the real cause of their overeating, whether that's stress eating, emotional eating, secretive eating, blowout 3 a.m. binge monster let loose in the kitchen, whatever kind of eating it is, where it's definitely a little out of control, maybe very out of control, and it feels like you don't have a lot of choice in the matter, then I'm here to help you. And spoiler alert, it's never just about more willpower. Usually there are some deeper things going on. And today we're going to get into that messy world of overeating, and we're going to try and pull out 1, 2, maybe 3 ideas that might be driving middle of the night eating. And I'm going to give you some tools to stop. If you get value from this video, I'd love it if you'd like the video. That will help this video get to more people who are struggling with overeating and nighttime eating. And if you want to see more of this, then subscribe. You'll find me here every Thursday live at lunch. And we've got some cool guests I'm going to start bringing in. We're going to be having lots of fun in the weeks and months and years ahead. So subscribe to the channel. And if you're a real nut for food freedom information, then you can hit that notification bell, and that will mean you'll get a little email to let you know whenever we go live. So team, let's dive in. 2 a.m., 3 a.m., you head into the kitchen kind of like a zombie, and you think you've got good intentions, just a little nibble, but the next thing you know, it's a full blowout. What the hell is going on? I must say, listen, I was actually somebody who didn't really struggle with this. It's happened once or twice, maybe more, but it wasn't a big deal. For me, bedtime was safe time. That was that time when everything was going to be okay. But for you, what I've discovered through the work I've done with many, many people who have struggled with the exact same thing, what we generally find, this is like numero uno, the most likely cause, is that you are undernourished. When you're working so hard to change your relationship with food or prevent yourself from overeating and binge eating, oftentimes what can accidentally happen is we undernourish ourselves, which means we're actually missing some nutrients that our body so desperately needs. And you may have been smashing it all day beautifully, doing your best, not going too far, only to then find in the evenings when you wake up, kind of when you're at your most vulnerable, you end up like undoing all of that good work, because the next thing you're eating all the things you were trying to hold yourself back from eating during the day. Now, right in there is a little bit of the reason these things are happening. Because if we spend all day trying to be perfect, trying to get it just right, trying to stop ourselves from eating, there's a good chance that you're going to bed and you're waking up at 3 a.m. hungry for the very things that your body needs, but also it could potentially be all the things you thought you shouldn't eat that you want. Because remember, in this world of food freedom, what you'll hear me talk about a lot is the more we think we can't have something, the more we want it. And it might be that part of this is that your body's trying to get the things inside it that it thinks it's not allowed, because we've just increased that desire. But I think that for the most part, this is going to be real, actual hunger that's driving these 2 a.m., 3 a.m., fridge raids. So the best way to know is, if this happens to you tonight, for example, you're waking up, it's 2 a.m., you're like, oh my God, here we go again. Check in with your tummy. Is this really hunger? Now, if you're not sure, because like me, you're somebody who just felt or feels that you cannot tell the difference between hunger and fullness, and it's all a big gemorst, it's a big muddle, then do me a favor and go to my website, helenbennett.co. You will find there is a masterclass. It is entirely free. It is 90 minutes. It is packed with amazing, amazing information, loads of tools, practical stuff. But with that masterclass, more importantly for the purposes of this conversation, is a training about how to start to listen to your tummy so that you can begin to identify very clearly the difference between hunger and non-hunger. And when we hear hunger, it is always appropriate, even at 3 a.m., to try and honor that, particularly if you want to repair your relationship with food. Good chances are if you're watching this and you're having this problem, good chance there's been a lot of restrictive dieting and that kind of thing in the past. And your poor body is really fearful that you are going to starve it again. And if it even gets a whisper of it, then it will start creating all these sort of compulsive and impulsive moments of eating, kind of when you go offline. And you're never more offline than you are at 3 a.m. in the morning. So it's kind of appropriate, isn't it? That your body should be so intelligent that it waits until you're really vulnerable. And then it's like, great, let's get her to eat now while we can. So I suspect that if this is a problem you're struggling with, there's been a lot of highly restrictive eating in the past, or even continuing, even in a small way, because it might be that you're erring on the side of eating just a bit too little. Maybe you even really, really authentically wanting to lose weight. And part of that is wanting to eat a bit less than you think you need. I would say if that's you, you want to put that journey down for now. Let's rebuild the trust. If you do this work, there's a very good chance you won't gain weight, but you may not lose any weight at first. What we want to do is build your body's deep trust that you will feed it when it is hungry, even if it's 3 a.m. So use that training with the masterclass. I'll put the link in the description as soon as this video is up, to start to understand how to connect with your hunger. And then you'll go to the kitchen and actually do what I call a tummy check-in and do your best to honor that. Now, I'm going to acknowledge that if you have repeatedly been overeating or binge eating at 3 a.m. for years and years and years, there is a hardwired habit here set up, and you might go into autopilot. But don't worry, because like you'll learn in the masterclass, if you make a mistake or you go over and you end up binging, it's not a problem. It just means there's learning and there's something that we need to take away from this, or we just need to try again. And trust me, in time it'll work. But if you're starting to listen to your tummy, the goal of a tummy check-in is to identify what it is your tummy's really asking for. And then you'll do your best to give it that. And if you do that, the feeling of satisfaction and calm, that wave of relief that'll come over your body, will be so good that it'll be a lot easier to then walk away from any hardwired habits to keep going and get back to bed and finally fall asleep. The hunger will absolutely wake us up, for sure. Hunger wakes us up, absolutely guaranteed it's going to happen. If you're very hungry, you might find you wake up even if you've never had a disordered or compulsive relationship with food. And the best thing to do is really key in, try and find out what your body wants in the right amount. So use the wording in the training, because the wording's very important. We don't just say, what do you want? We're never going to get a good answer. It's what do we want to be comfortable until we wake up in the morning. And that will help for in the moment binge monster 3 a.m. Events. But you know what? Prevention is better than cure. So what you'd probably want to do, if you notice that it was hunger that was driving it, then now you know what I'm going to say, which is you're going to have to be brave and begin leaning into erring on the side of eating more during the day. That might look like a really nourishing lunch where you give yourself a bit more than you think you need. It might feel a bit scary. I kind of want to just hold your hand through this. And if you want to work with me, I can hold your hand through this. But ultimately, these things are tricky because we've got some habit loops set in and some habits of thought set in. But if you're able to eat a bit more at lunch or at dinner, remember, the worst that can happen is you'll be fuller for longer. And that's actually what we want. Your dinner time check-in, where you're actually trying to listen to what your body truly wants, is probably going to be the most important check-in of the day. And again, use the wording in the training so that you know how to ask your body exactly the right question, which will keep you really comfortable all the way until the morning. Because you don't want to wake up starving. You want to wake up nice and comfortable, maybe a little bit of a rumbly tummy. And worst case, if you eat a bit more than you needed, it's okay. You won't be hungry until later in the next day. Happy days, right? But I think the key here is going to be erring on the side of eating a bit more during the day. We've got to put all those weight loss desires down, rebuild the trust with our body again. And then when you've got all your green flags popping off, maybe I need to do a live about that, about what to look for to know that you're ready for intentional, gentle fat loss again, then groovy baby. We can do that. But first, we've got to repair that relationship with food. Okay, so that's the first one. It's the most likely one from my experience. The second one is if you are somebody who you might describe yourself as eating your feelings, you have likely been using food to comfort yourself, to bring yourself peace, calm, safety, to dampen anxiety for many, many years. And any wonder then when you wake up at 3 a.m. with what we all know, it's like the time that all the headworms and all the fears, all the worries, all the anxieties about the past and the future, all the regrets, all the shame, all the guilt comes crashing in at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning. And it feels irrational in the next day when you look back at it, but at the time it feels so real. And if you are somebody who might now describe themselves as an emotional eater, where you have used food in the past in those moments of anxiety, stress, worry, fear, it's no wonder that you might then be automatically going to the kitchen to use the only way you've ever known, maybe up until now, to calm and comfort those really uncomfortable emotions so that you can finally get back to sleep. At the end of the day, sleep is so important. I kind of want you to do whatever it takes to get the rest you need. And, if eating something small until you've got in the work of learning how to experience those emotions without reaching for food, then great, do that. Because at the end of the day, I need you to get some good quality rest, because all of this work is better when you are well rested. So in a pinch, if you move to the kitchen and go and grab something, check in with your tummy, eat what helps you feel a bit better, what helps. They say in Afrikaans, maag is vol, oog is toe, which means when your tummy's full, your eyes shut down. So it's kind of an appropriate response if we're struggling to sleep, to need to eat something to get us back to sleep. But for the most part, we're working to get you to the point where you're able to get through the night without reaching for food, to either dampen the hunger that wasn't satiated during the day, or manage all those uncomfortable emotions that are coming up if you wake up with a bit of fear. Now, here's a little trick that I did, because waking up with fear in my belly, it's amazing that that's often where it is. Worry, anxiety, stress, it's all sitting in the belly for me at about 3 a.m. And if I wake up like that, what I've learned to do, this is my own personal little thing that gets me through, is I actually put my hands on my belly if I can. I put my hands on my belly. Weird. If I had a cat, I'd try to encourage it to come and sit and purr on my belly. Anything that will help me feel warm and safe. And then I just tell myself something like, you're okay. There's nothing to fear. You're safe right now. In this moment, you are safe. And I'll send my body and my belly a lot of love. And that does tend to calm me down. The other thing, I've not actually had to do that for quite some time, but every now and again when I do wake up with stress and fear, the other thing that I do is I take myself very deliberately with very focused attention into the future, and I start building out something that I'm working towards, or the house that I want to live in, or the experience that I want to have. And I really take myself into the future and I build it out. What does it smell like? What does it look like? Who's with me? I feel all the joy, all the gratitude. And it's amazing how just that experience of taking my attention into the future and trying to hold it there is actually so exhausting that I start dropping off to sleep, but also makes me feel good. So it sort of not eradicates, but it certainly really dials down all the fear that was potentially waking me up. So there's some tools that you have in your toolbox now. Remember, overeating, no matter what time of day it is, when you're eating more than you think you should, or it's feeling out of control, it can be a messy, complicated business. I wish there was just a one-step quick fix. It isn't. If you've watched my Food Freedom Formula Masterclass, you'll see we talk about sort of 4 very clear, distinctive areas that we have to work on. And one of the things we've got working against us here is that it might just be habit. It might just be, 3 a.m., your body's like, we've always done this, we'll do this again. And if it is, you'll feel the energy of that will be different. It won't be hunger, it won't be fear. It's just habit loop. And then we've got to give you some practical things to break through that. I've got to rock and roll. My mum's waiting for a call from me. So I will love you and leave you with that today. If you enjoyed that video and it served you, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and you can always put your questions in the comments. Join me anytime live. And I will see you next Friday. Oh, next Thursday. Sorry, my bad. Thursday. Same time, same place. Here's to your freedom.